All right, everybody, I'd like to welcome you out to our Thursday night product call here for Q Sciences. We have a special guest tonight with us, Dr. Keith Robbins. Tonight we'll be going over the meal replacement, the equivalent. Just a couple announcements. Just want to let everybody know that every Thursday night at 7 o'clock Mountain Time, we go ahead and we start these product calls. So go ahead and share this with your teams. If you guys would like to get reminders, text Q to 60637, and that'll give you a reminder for these calls. We had a great Rocky Mountain Summit this last weekend, so if you weren't able to make it out, make sure you get with your upline or someone who was there to get some great information. So tonight I'd like to go ahead and just turn this call over to Dr. Robbins. And Dr. Robbins, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, we'll turn the time over to you.
Great. Well, thank you. I am so excited to be on the call this evening. I have a lot of things that I want to cover with you about the Equivalent Plus, but before I do so, I invited someone as a special guest to be on the call tonight. This is somebody that I truly think of as a powerhouse IBO. She's somebody that I really believe and feel is the embodiment of what Q Sciences is about, and that's spreading happiness. This is someone who is very dynamic, and I just love being around her. I love her energy. I was first formally introduced to her the night at corporate when I had the opportunity to first introduce Equivalent, and I loved her enthusiastic review of the ingredients that were in there. Those of you who were there, I'm sure will remember that. We all got a big kick out of it. I couldn't have had a better person speak up and out on my behalf. So without any further ado, I'd love to introduce Marian Baxter.
Thank you, Dr. Keith Robbins. I really appreciate your kindness in accommodating my enthusiasm for quality and the very principles that Q Sciences is founded on. They really matter and they work. So how that shows up in the product lines for me is specifically with Equivalent. I had no idea that product was being introduced that night, this incredible treasure that we have. And so I'm very mindful of whole, nutrient-dense nutrition. So basically, to be able to eat as our forefathers ate, like I was raised with a garden in our family, always had access to fresh eggs and fresh produce from the garden seasonally. And I realized that as I saw the nutrient and list and ingredients that are part of Equivalent, I was celebrating. When I need a fast food, healthy go-to, here's the choice that I go after is the Equivalent, and here's why. I like the distinction that this is not just a protein replacement. It is really a meal replacement. The sustainability of it is phenomenal. It literally, that's some of the most feedback that I get. As that was being introduced that night, Dr. Robbins, you were sharing your process of creating this product over a 3-year period, and then you had been able to bring this to the attention and share it with Q Sciences, Darren Hogue and Mark Wilson, and they also had you connect with the medical advisory support that we have of Dr. Stephen Kimberly. And if I understand correctly, you'll probably calendar and our chronicle part of this with us. But what I really appreciated was you started sharing, literally, you started sharing what the ingredient list is, and I just was bowled over. First and foremost to me of utmost importance was there was no soy in it. Hallelujah. I was so grateful for that. And then you started going through the list, and the protein sources are just supreme. They're top of the line. So chia seed, the pea pod, and the pea powder, and I just went through going, each one I was going, oh, this is so good. This is so excellent. I couldn't contain it. And I was kind of jumping around in my seat a little bit, and that's what I appreciate about it, is that it is a sustainable energy source. So I know that you'll be going through all the particulars, the details about how and why these all play a part. But here's the practical application that I enjoy. So on a daily basis, one of the things that got pointed out is you said that you worked with how to design in the disperse ability of it, that the product would disperse. The mix would disperse when you add it to the liquid. And so that in a shaker, in our shaker glasses, the Q containers, the little take-along cups, excellent. And I can still integrate it just as well in my Vitamix. Vitamix has been a part of my family since I was very young, and I still have an aunt that my cousin inherited a Vitamix that was literally the metal container, and it still runs today. So when you explained to me that in a blender and a mix like that, in a Vitamix, for example, it will get more frothy, I actually went to Vitamix and said, how do I calm this down? And I just slow the speed down at the end so that the frothiness settles out. Because I like to also play around with adding greens and other ingredients to it. So I can get away with adding my kale, my fresh spinach, my even collard greens. And it's a phenomenal mix. It does very, very well. Some of the feedback that I've gotten and that I've personally experienced is literally like as I add things to it, I notice that I tend to find it's a little bit sweet for me. Other people may not find it sweet for them. And so I'll add additional, maybe some ice, or I'll add some additional almond milk. I like to mix it with almond milk. So it travels right with me. Now that the weather's getting warmer, I will literally put in extra ice. 2 scoops will make quite a bit for me. And if I do a scoop of vanilla and a scoop of chocolate, what I find is it's fun flavor, but it also can accommodate any additions that I do to it with the greens and fruits when I choose to. And literally, it will sustain me through most of the day into the mid-afternoon if I start out with the breakfast with it, or if I use it as a late morning or early afternoon meal replacement. I'm not very hungry at dinner. And that's been kind of interesting to me, is how long it sustains in the body. So I'm really kind of hoping that you'll address some of that, of why it stays with us so long. So I asked several people what was their strongest impression of why they love the equivalent. And so sustainability was top of the list, is that it stays with you. The main one for me is the quality of the ingredients. So as I'm always open to learning, I'm always willing to, I know that there's plenty more for me to learn. So the quality of the ingredients that comprise the equivalent, these sweeteners, really got my attention also. Stevia, or stevia as some people call it, is plant-based. It is extremely assimilable by the body. That means that you uptake it very readily. And the other one that has gotten my attention, and I've actually gone after understanding more, is the choice of monk fruit. Monk fruit is very valuable in how the body utilizes it, and it's extremely useful combination with the stevia and the other products, the other ingredients. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to enlighten us a little bit more about that also. The other parts that I like is I have dear friends and respected colleagues and practitioners that I can, with confidence, take this to them. And I literally can show it to them. I can say, check, give me some feedback. What do you think of this ingredient list? They are amazed. They just go, and what's your price point on this? And they go through that, and they just say, you are getting an extremely valuable commodity here. You're getting a great return for your health resource dollar. And that gets my attention. So I could go on for a long time, and I do not mean to take away from the technical information. So please, Dr. Robbins, just know you have my undivided attention to learn more about this as a mix for us, but it's already a trusted health resource on my kitchen shelf because I can serve it to my grandchildren. I can share it with my family. I'm proud to have it be a centerpiece of any brunch that I serve or meal that I share with family and friends. It's my go-to for healthy fast food. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That was wonderful, and I appreciate all the things that you had to say, and even the questions that you're looking to have answered. Tonight, what I would like to do is I'm going to, over the next product calls, I'm going to address those very issues. As a matter of fact, I am so excited about the response that I am getting to with the equivalent that I've actually been asked to do a product call every fourth Thursday. So on every fourth Thursday, we'll have the opportunity to be able to speak and to address some of those issues that you brought up. And I'm excited to be able to do that. And as a matter of fact, because I'm going to have that time to do that, I really want, and it's really important to me, to keep the information new and fresh. I know there are times that we want to hear things over again, but at least for my own sake and myself, I love to hear things that are new and fresh. And in order to do that, what I would love to do is I'd love to hear your stories, just like we heard Marion's story tonight. I want to hear your experiences. I want to hear your questions. If you have any recipes that you love, I want to hear all of those. So I'm asking all of you, if you're willing to share that, if you will email me your stories, your experiences, your recipes to Dr. Keith at Qtagious.com. That's DrKeith at QTAGIOUS. Dr. Keith at Qtagious.com, and tell me those stories. I want to hear them. I want to be able to share those. And let me know if you are willing to come on and share your story as well as Marion did, because I think that this is something that we can all learn and glean from each of everybody's experiences. So I'm excited to be able to share with you and share with you on those times. So I'll ask you to do that. Now tonight, I specifically wanted to address some comments and questions that I have received during the Rocky Mountain Summit that we had and thereafter. I have a handful of questions here that I think are really good and warrant some time given to them. So the first question, and Marion, you mentioned some of this concerning the sweetener, the stevia, as well as the monk fruit. Someone asked me actually at the Rocky Mountain Summit if the sweetener was necessary. Apparently there have been those who have a stevia sensitivity. They can taste it in the equivalent, and it has caused some reactions with them. And unfortunately, those are something that are very important to the equivalent plus. Number one is, Marion mentioned the benefits of the monk fruit, but also because of the nature and it is so nutrient dense, we have the xanthones in there that have a bitter flavor to them. We have the vitamins and minerals that have a metallic flavor associated with them. And so we have all of these different flavors in addition to the different protein sources. And without the sweeteners or those natural sweeteners, it would be really hard to have anybody really want to take it and use it. And so it is something that it is necessary, but they also have a value associated with them as far as a nutritional value to them. Now, for those who are having any type of a sensitivity to the stevia, somebody actually shared with me something that I thought was pretty ingenious, and I want to pass that on to you. They added coconut water to their Equivalent Plus shake mix, and they said that helped settle that. So that's something that I'm passing on with you. If you find that works for you, please let me know on that as well. Unfortunately, when we design something like this, we try to make it available to the masses, and yet, unfortunately, we're unable to do 100%. But we're doing everything in our power so that if there needs to be any type of a modification, we can address that. And because I really do know and believe that this is that nutrient-dense meal. You know, we talk about our busy lifestyles. We talk about not having time to be able to stop and eat properly. You know, we'll never be able to manage our time, but we can compress our time. And this is a meal that we can take in a compressed time situation and be able to have that and have all the nutrients that we need in that. Now, another question that I was asked, is it okay to add other sweeteners to it? I've had some add honey to it. They've had agave to it, maple syrup, and then fruit. And to that I answer, yes, it is fine. But I will say this, that it was designed to be in its healthiest state, is to be taken with water or an unsweetened almond milk. There are those out there who have diabetic tendencies, or they have to watch their glycemic index and what they take, and it was designed to be able to sustain them in those situations. And so if you're not concerned about that, or if you're not concerned about a real rigid type of or a structured type of a regimen, then by all means you can add those. But just know that it will affect the way your sugar spikes and that type of thing. Now, I've also been asked about if you're an athlete and wanted to add more protein, is it okay to add more protein to it? And again, to that I say, absolutely, that's fine. Just be aware and know that not all protein sources are equivalent, no pun intended, that there are different qualities of protein, and depending on the type of protein, you definitely don't want to add a soy protein as Marion talked about. Soy is not one of the best things for you in that situation. But you can add those other sources. But as I mentioned, just make sure you know what they are. You can add egg whites. You can add any of that type of thing. Now, I do caution if you do add a protein and it's whey-based. Again, one of the reasons why we didn't use whey in the development of the Equivalent Plus is because people have sensitivities to it. If we take a look at an actual allergy or an allergic reaction, only 2 to 3% of the population have that type of an allergic reaction to whey or dairy products. But if we broaden that to include increased mucus, bloating, gas, constipation, those type of things, now we're up in the 70 to 75% range that actually are affected by whey. And then if we add over total overall systemic inflammation, now we're close to 90 and above. And so whey does affect us. The proteins that are in here were specifically designed to be the most hypoallergenic that they're out there and that is known and that the science is showing to us on that. As a little side note, we do have a local athletic team that is using our Equivalent Plus along with a regimen developed by Dr. Kimberly with the aminos and the omegas, and in addition to the Cellerciser, and they are getting phenomenal results. I am very excited to learn that most of them had bested their own personal record by about 20% being on this regimen in conjunction with the Cellerciser, and so that's very exciting. There are lots of athletes who will only take animal-based proteins because they feel like that plant-based won't have the same effect. But all of my research and in my humble opinion, that's not the case. And this is proving that to be so. I was asked on one occasion, can I mix it up and leave it in the refrigerator for a period of time? You can do that. I discourage it, though, because as soon as you begin to mix it with a liquid, the enzymes in there begin to start breaking down the proteins in there, as that was designed to do. I call this a pre-digested food. We did it in order to help heal the digestive system, so our digestive system didn't have to work so hard. And so if you mix it up and you put it in the refrigerator, then it begins to break down and lose its efficacy on that. So I suggest that everybody drink it within a 30 to 45-minute time span on that. Another question I was asked, and I love these questions because it just shows me how astute everybody is. I love the fact that everybody are reading labels and they want to know. This is because we are becoming a responsible label-reading people. We're taking responsibility for our health and nutrition, and I applaud you for that. One of the questions was, it says on the front that there are 3 impact carbs, and yet if you look at the back on there, it shows that there are 12 grams of carbohydrates, and I'm referring specifically to the chocolate right now, and 7 grams of dietary fiber. Now, when we take a look at impact carbs, we subtract the dietary fiber from the amount of carbohydrates, and that tells us how many impact carbs. So from this, if there are 12 grams of carbohydrates and 7 grams of dietary fiber, there should be 5 grams of carbs, not 3. But we have a little secret weapon in there that we love, and we add, and it's called white kidney bean extract. And this kidney bean extract actually blocks the receptor sites that allows the body to uptake these carbohydrates by up to 50%. So now we have 5 grams of carbs in there. Half of that's 2.5. So really, you're probably really getting closer to 2.5 net carbs in there. But we say 3 on there just to be safe. So that's an exciting thing, and that's true. That kidney bean extract will actually, if you eat anything in addition to it, say you're eating some salad in addition to it, your equivalent, it will actually block some of the food that, or the carbohydrates of the food that you're eating around the time that you're taking the Equivalent Plus as well. Another question that I've been asked is, as we take a look at the daily values on the back, they're mostly, we see that one shake has 50% of our daily recommended values of all of the vitamins and minerals in there. And other products out on the market are claiming to have 100%. Well, that's great. And a lot of times people think that more is better, but really I'm finding more often than not, more is less. I mean, well, if we really sit down and think about it, when we have one meal, are we truly getting 100% of our daily recommended value of all of our vitamins and minerals? We shouldn't be concerned about that because our body will uptake and eliminate. It will take the vitamins and minerals that it needs and then eliminate what it doesn't use. And so for marketing purposes, it's great that it says that they have 100%, but I guarantee you that your body's not uptaking that at that moment. And so it's a waste. So on ours, we have, shows 50%, but then with our best enzyme blend, the bioavailable enzyme-specific transport system on there, and I will talk about this down the road in more length because it's something that I'm really excited about. It's our delivery system for the Equivalent Plus. It actually makes all of the vitamins and minerals that are in there 300% or 3 times more bioavailable. So even though that there's 50% in there, you can know that there's actually, the body sees much more than that. So just know that there is sufficient vitamins and minerals in each one of those for your body. That it's not being denied anything. And that was something that was very important that we make note of. Another question I've been asked is, if I were to take one shake a day, when would be the best time to take that for one meal replacement? And hands down, I always tell my patients, and I'm telling you tonight, that the best time is a couple hours, maybe an hour and a half before bed. In that, there are a couple reasons for that. Number one, in the evening time, I don't know about you, but I tend to get the munchies as I'm sitting there watching The Biggest Loser, and I want to reach for my ice cream or donut. And so this is something that we can grab and actually take and help curb those cravings that we're having. But also, when we go to bed and when we're sleeping, all of our primary functions of our body slow down, and our liver is actually able to kick in and do what it needs to. The liver is so important. If you look at the word liver, the word live is in there. All of the things that the liver does is to sustain life. And so as everything else slows down, the liver can now kick up and begin the healing process of all of the stresses of the day. And in order for the body to heal, it needs the amino acids from the proteins that we have. So we never want to really grab those carbohydrates. As a matter of fact, the research shows that when we eat carbohydrates before bed, our sugar or our insulin levels peak, and we never really get into that nice deep REM sleep that we want to get into. But as we take the protein, now our body has the building blocks that are necessary to help us get the sleep we need. And then, as Dr. Kimberly mentioned, we take the Q omegas with that, so now we have the protein and some necessary fats, and we have everything that's necessary to help our body rebuild itself while we're sleeping, and when we can awaken in the morning knowing that we are ready to go and start the day. Another thing that I've been asked is the Equivalent Plus okay for pregnant or nurse-feeding moms? And to that I say absolutely yes. The only caveat is that we have to make sure is that because the mom is not only needing to provide for her nutritional needs, she needs to for the babies as well, that I don't recommend using this as a meal replacement in itself. Go ahead and take this, but then also make sure that you're also eating something else with it. And you'll want to do that throughout the pregnancy as well as throughout the nurse feed, or through nurse feeding on that, or nursing rather, the baby on that. Once the mother's done with nursing the child and she's looking for a way to reduce her fat and get back into shape, boy, this is a wonderful product for that. And it can be taken 3 or 4 times a day. You really don't need to eat any other type of food. The reason that we do is some of us feel the need that we need to chew on something in order to feel satisfied. But this is something that can be done. And I also have a meal plan and a way to lose weight using 3 shakes and one of your own meals in order to help get rid of some of those excess pounds that we're trying to get rid of. Another question that I've been asked is, what about for those who've had gastric bypass or lap band surgery? The first thing that I say, I always tell everybody, make sure you consult with your physician. Never make any type of dietary changes without doing so. Now, having said that, those of my patients who have done that, the doctors or physicians have had no problem or issue in them taking the equivalent as a meal for them. And it's perfect for them because these patients need to have reduced volume. They can only have so many cups of food or so many ounces of food. And we have this nutrient-rich meal replacement now, in addition to the Q essentials and the omegas and the aminos, now to give the body the full nutrients that it needs in order to sustain itself. That is something that is really hard for these type of patients because they can't get everything they need in the amounts that they're talking about. Well, now they have an option, and they absolutely can, and that's an exciting thing for them on that. And then the last question I'll have time to address tonight, I've been asked, what is the shelf life of the Equivalent Plus? Now, because of FDA regulations and labeling regulations, we have to put on there 2 years on that. That's just the way that the guidelines we have to follow. But I want it known that this Equivalent Plus can actually be if it's stored in a cold, damp-free or a dampless area for 4 and up to 5 years on that. Now, this is something that's very exciting because I have been asked in conjunction with the shelf life, what about something like this for food storage or for emergency preparedness? This is something that's totally ideal. If you wanted to have something that could be slipped into a backpack or in any type in the trunk of your car or wherever, as long as you have some sort of a liquid with it, you will have a meal and can be sustained on this with no problem whatsoever. So this is something that's really exciting as well. So we see that there are just so many facets that this equivalent can be used for. And again, I'm so excited to be able to share these with you. And I hope that you will share your experiences and your stories with me, because I truly want to be able to include those. I want to be able to talk to your needs and what your questions are, and not so much what I think you should hear. I could talk about this forever, but I truly feel like you are the ones that are using this, and you are the ones that will be benefiting from it. And I'm so grateful and thankful that I've gotten the reception that I have, and I look forward to the future calls that we have. Thank you, Gentry.
Thank you, Dr. Robbins, and thank you, Marion, for telling us how you feel about the equivalent. And again, everybody, just make sure that you take advantage of the equivalent and make sure that you get that in your home and be able to share that product with everybody. Again, like Dr. Robbins said, it goes great with all the products that we have, and it really helps everybody be happy and just helps us be healthy, because that's what we're about here at Q Sciences. So everybody, go ahead and have a great rest of the week and have a great weekend. And like we say here at Q Sciences, Q it up.